Welcome everybody, this is Brookside Chats. I'm your host Brooklyn.
And I am your co-host Taco. So, Brooklyn, I have a question for you today.
Alright.
Do you think that greed is good?
To an extent. I don't think I think it's okay if you're like someone of like a working class to want to like be more like affluent with like money, but like if you're like in like a higher like millionaire billionaire like status, I think that's when it gets problematic, because it's just like how much money can you get, and like at the same time how many how many like other like resources are going to be used to like fund your like, you know, or basically just kind of like get you like more and more like money.
Wouldn't you say though that greed drives innovation though? Like if billionaires and millionaires were satisfied with the amount of money that they had, what would why would they continue to develop businesses, jobs, and innovate, or even keep their business up? Why not just close it and retire?
Well, I think with like in the terms of like greed, like if you get to a point of like a monopoly, like you're just suppressing other like businesses, and like you're not gonna have any competition whatsoever. Like that's why you have antitrust laws in effect, because we really discourage monopolies, and it doesn't drive innovation. It doesn't drive like anything like, well, like think if like, Ford had a monopoly back in like, the 30s or whatnot, we would probably still be driving like something pretty resemblant to the Model Ts, and probably driving at the exact miles per hour back then. Like maybe there'll be a little bit more safety precautions because how many people died from like road incidences, but like
yeah, no, I guess that's true. Yeah, I mean you make a good point with that, but I mean in a capitalistic society, I think that there needs to be a healthy balance of greed, but also of paying your fair share in society.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, or a lot of individuals of high wealth that have charities and philanthropy causes and whatnot that they give to. But I think, I guess, for me, as a scrappy young individual who just graduated college, I always had this idea that you got to be greedy, not like, what's that one character, Scrooge, not like Scrooge, but you gotta be willing to work and amass some wealth to be happy. I guess I equivalated money with happiness, and to some extent it's true, but I think the older that I've gotten, I think like experiences and friends and family are more of what I equivalate with as happiness now. But I guess to some extent you still need money to it, so you can't really escape it.
So post graduation and like pre-graduation, I would say like I had a lot more friends with college, and that's why I'm pretty sure you hear like, oh man, college years are the best years of your life, and I was super engaged and super interacting. And while I do have like my coworkers that interact, like like with work, like it's not as like super conversational as like back in like my youth.
Back in the good old days.
Yeah. So but like at the same time, I was broke as hell at like UNO, while simultaneously working at my company now. I'm basically just doing like, I'm doing really well financially, and like I have a lot of wealth, but I'm just not really like doing anything with it other than just saving money and paying bills, which that's exciting, right?
You want purpose in life.
Yeah.
You want to pay my bills? That'll give you some purpose.
No,
please.
No. Stop.
And the offer's open if you want to put it. No, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I definitely was quite a broke college kid, I would say. I was fortunate enough to have scholarships cover my tuition and my rent, so I was really fortunate actually. But even still, I didn't have a car, and I hopped between jobs a lot. Because of that, then it's really hard to find a good job when you're very limited on what you can do.
Yeah.
But even still, like you said, even though I wasn't able to go on these lavish vacations or these restaurants or these other experiences, I was still able to enjoy college, and I loved my college experience because I was able to have a great group of people around me to have that experience with. That's not to say that if I would have had money during college that I would have enjoyed it any more or less. Probably maybe a little more, but I still had a healthy experience at the end of the day.
So, I think you kind of answered this just to kind of reiterate. Would you say money brings happiness to you?
It doesn't hurt. It certainly does not hurt. Anyone that tells you that money does not bring happiness is lying to you. It does help. Okay, you got to understand where I come from also. As an immigrant child, my family growing up, we did not have a lot of money. So when you've been on those ends of the extremes, when you get a little bit of money in your bank account like we are now, you can definitely notice a difference in the family dynamics and your mental health, your stress levels. But I feel like a lot of people who have money that are, depressed, or they're not happy with it, or they tell you that it doesn't, it's not everything. I think at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that they're trying to find a purpose, because it's like we've, been there, done that kind of thing with them. So what else is there to do? You got to find a purpose. Now I can't say that that's the reason, because again, I'm just starting off my career. I'm still trying to save up, trying to get financially stable, as a lot of college kids are, especially graduating during a pandemic or towards the end of one.
Yeah.
But I would say that it does bring happiness, but once you get happiness, what now? Once you get the money, there's only so much that it'll do. I think in my psychology class, they said that the cap on that is 75,000. After 75,000, your happiness kind of plateaus. So, what's next after that? You got to find purpose in something.
I think for me, money can bring happiness. There's a quote from there's a bit from a comedian, Daniel Tosh, if you ever heard of him.
Oh, have I? Yeah.
And it was one of his stand-up specials, and he was talking about this, and he's like, can money bring happiness? Well, money can buy a jet ski. And have you ever seen somebody frown on a jet ski before? Nope. Therefore, money can bring happiness.
It sure can.
I think you can buy things that can bring you happiness, but I think there's a certain point in time that you get above a certain wealth, and it's just what's the point keep on gaining other than bragging rights? What's it? Jeff Bezos is gonna be the next trillionaire, and it's what's the point? What's the point of having that much money?
Building rocket ships, bro.
That's what I've actually heard. Is that's
look at Elon Musk, man. He's got SpaceX. If I was that rich, I'd be populating, Mars with humans.
There you go.
Open a ski resort up there.
With his incoming child, with whatever her digits are, the XA.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that.
There's some robotic language that they use for their, that just looks like they just smashed their fingers on
Their
like,
next child is gonna be, their name is gonna be in binary code.
they use Morse code.
Just whenever you call them over, it's gonna be like gotta love the internet. I love those memes. Sidetrack. Remember 2019? No, 2020. When did we have the World War III scare with Iran? That was 2020, right?
Yeah, because I don't know. With fear, no, one of those years.
It was 2020, just before pandemic.
With
hit.
Fury and Hellfire, as Trump
loved
said.
the memes that came out of that. That's the only thing. It was stressful. I thought we were gonna really go to war. I was like, okay, I'm prepared, but like first, let me look at the memes. I think that's how people just come to terms with things.
2020 was a great year of memes. Like, it was the worst year, but it was a great year of memes. The gender reveal party explosions and wildfires, and then people just like memeing that to be like, they show like a nuclear bomb and it says "it's a boy" in the in the like mushroom crowd. What was it? The freaking like. What was it? Oh, Ben Shapiro with like the WAP memes, because like he like went on like live television. It's like, I don't understand what's this definition of a WAP, and like he was like trying to get all technical, and it's like
yeah.
And he's like saying like if you are a quote unquote WAP, I feel like you need to get like medically tested and stuff like that. It's like, Ben, just relax, you boomer.
Yeah, well, you gotta love the internet. You got. But anyways, going back to the conversation, I kind of lost track where we were. We were talking about greed, I think.
Greed. We were talking greed is good, and
she was starting to. Oh yeah.
Money brings happiness.
Elon Musk building rockets, populating Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I had money, I would have a lot of crazy projects, but I'll settle for what I got right now. Again, it's about the experience.
Dude, we had a toilet paper shortage.
Oh, we had a toilet paper shortage. That's right. What else?
My gosh. What other dumb things? Oh, the mass debates and just like. What was it? All the Karen apocalypse, like
that.
Because like
Karens,
with the
Karens
mass
and Kevins.
Yeah.
Can't forget about Kevin also. You think they'd be happier if they had money or more money?
No, because they'll keep saying that they're being oppressed because they don't wear a mask.
They need a purpose in life. Not that purpose. They need a different purpose. Yep. That's why if we go to Mars, I hope Elon does not allow Karens there.
Just. They see the haircut, you're out.
Yep.
Like there's like an asteroid coming up to like hit Earth, and like it's like the last rocket ship, and they're like, I see you with the bangs, Karen, and just like send them off a
When they send out the survey, they should ask, have you ever spoken to the manager?
Do you think that's what actually happened with like the Titanic? Is like there weren't. They actually did see the iceberg, but like there was a Karen on board that just kept like annoying the captain so much that the captain was just like, okay, this is it. Just intentionally run into the iceberg.
I would hope not. Man, that would be messed up. I mean, I wouldn't even do that. But
like he was just trying to drop her off or like something like that, just at the iceberg, and just like, whoops. Oh.
Yeah, they have a plank, Just walk the plank.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Come on. Sink a whole ship when you can just
walk the plank.
You know who
the ultimate Karen was? Clearly, the original Martin Luther that started Protestantism. Bringing his like complaints on a little like post-it note and just like hammering it in.
He was the OG Twitter poster.
Yeah, shit post.
Yeah. So millennials, we get a lot of flack for. I don't know. Would we be considered millennials? I don't know. I'm just gonna group us together. We're Gen X or something like that. Gen Z. Yeah. Anyways, us youngins get a lot of flack. You're like, y'all lazy. Y'all like soft and all that stuff. I would not entirely disagree with that, but like at the same time, you gotta understand like this generation. We've been through 2 recessions, a pandemic. Was it a 20-year war now, or
A capital insurrection.
capital insurrection, crazy politics, and lagging economy. Like I was watching this documentary earlier today where if you graduated back in the 60s, you could still manage to raise a family, get a house, stuff after college. But nowadays, you can't do that because wages just have not risen to the levels of to match inflation.
Do you think like inflation will slow? Because I'm noticing that like isn't like the birth rate like with the U.S. actually like declining too?
It's been declining for a couple of years. I don't know if inflation will slow with that. I know they've been trying to slow inflation down in response to the pandemic, and I think it was Janet Yellen announced a couple weeks back or last week or whatever that inflation would start to probably rise up again. Then that just kind of tanked the stock market. But I don't know if inflation will rise significantly right away to match the birth rates. Again, I'm not an economist, so I'm not too sure on how that would work. But I think the goal will be to probably keep inflation low for at least the remainder of the year, maybe till a couple 2 or 3 years. I don't know.
Not to the moon, hyperinflation all the way.
Hyperinflation to the moon.
I heard printing more money just helps out, right?
Can we invest in inflation?
Jeez.
There's
isn't
got to
the
be
concept-
a cryptocurrency tied to inflation, right?
Isn't there like a what's the isn't like a hedge fund basically investing in or betting on what was it, just like a failing company? Because isn't that what are the people investing in GameStop?
Hedge funds are risky, and they need to be more regulated. But yeah, like what was up with GameStop, they were betting against it, and then Reddit did its thing, and
to the moon.
that was an interesting year.
From what was it, $3 a stock to $300 a stock?
It
was
rose quite a bit.
They lost I think I read they lost up to $16 billion.
A lot altogether, a lot of hedge funds, they lost quite a few billions of dollars.
That's just so. Oh man.
But on the other hand, on the other side, there's a lot of untrained investors that jumped on that wagon maybe a little too late when the stock was at 300 or 400. They invested a lot of their savings, a lot of their money, and then it tanked. Then it started going back down, and they got scared and they pulled out, or they, or whatever reason. So they lost a lot of money. And I don't know, I haven't checked the stock price on it now, but this is the dangers and the why people need to be more educated on these things, because investing in the market, it's a gamble. It's a risk. So if you've not had any experience to it prior, and you go through something like GameStop, where you invest in it when it's at 500 and then it drops down to 200, you're gonna be pooping bricks. That is not a pretty ride. And I didn't invest in it, but I remember when I started investing in the stock market a couple years back, probably in 2018. And I mean, I didn't invest a lot of money. I didn't have much to invest in it, but I invested in a couple stocks. And I would be obsessively checking the stock market every day when it was open. And when I saw those dips, on the day,
yeah,
it scared me. Sometimes I pulled out on my investment. But what you got to look at is the long run. It might have gone down $2 or $3 in one day, which is scary enough if you have multiple shares of it. But you got to look at how it performed in the last year or 2 years, and see how that trend is going, and if it's actually a profitable company, or if it's a company that maybe had a bad day, but they will still go up. And I think that's where we're talking about greed, and is it good, and should people be more financially savvy? And I think this generation is in a unique position to do that, I guess. Okay, we can rely on Social Security, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not gonna be around when we retire, and if it is, it's gonna be breadcrumbs.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you fund your retirement? I think this is where you gotta be greedy. You gotta be smart greedy. Investments, the diversification of your portfolio, so your 401k, your Roth IRAs, all that stuff. And by no means is this any financial advice. You also got to speak to an actual financial advice person here. But in talking to this new generation, what I see on TikTok and Instagram is a lot of people that are like, drop shipping will get you 10 G's a month. So easy, anyone can do it. I'll show you how. Or
what's the latest like fad with like the NFTs? Like
I don't
I
understand
honestly
NFTs.
think those are like just scams. Like because like you're just paying like money for like an image, basically, correct? And like people
an original work,
original. Let's
whatever. I mean, okay, that I've always thought people who spend millions of dollars on original works, if they got the money for it, good for them. I don't care what they do with their money. At the end of the day, it's their choice.
mm-hmm.
But it's dumb. Like
Should-
I ain't about to spend $2 million on a picture of a donut original, or whatever they're selling now. It's dumb.
Dogecoin or whatever it was with like Elon Musk.
Well, that's a cryptocurrency, and that was again. That just goes to show the volatility and the influence that one individual like Musk has on the economy. But people just gotta get savvy. You gotta get smart greedy. And I know we were talking about this earlier, saying American Dream dead. I don't think it is. I think it's just changing the idea of it.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's. I guess there needs to be something that like needs to be said with the American Dream. I kind of want to ask, like, if the American Dream is pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and getting yourself into a wealthy position, I want to ask, how many people are sacrificed to be in the American nightmare, where they're just impoverished, or like you're like, or they're in like a lesser position because you're increasing your wealth while they have a higher tax burden or stuff like that, and you're getting massive amounts of tax breaks, and people are like,
You can't keep up.
yeah.
That's the thing that's happening. The American Dream isn't that. It's just floating, and it works better for other people. It's not so much pulling up by your bootstraps. Okay, it is. You definitely. I am a firm believer in you can get where you want to get if you work hard for it, and stay hyper focused on it. But I also understand that a lot of people do not come from a position of privilege where they can do that. And it's in this country, as in a lot of countries, you don't have the policy or the assistance to do that. We talked in a different podcast about redlining and segregation, Jim Crow laws, and how that affects people to this day. Even people that it wasn't meant to affect still affects. Like, we're all feeling it.
Yeah.
The effects of these bad legislations and bad policies. So the American Dream isn't dead. It's just serving others more than, it's not equal. It's the way you get up in this country is pulling yourself up by the bootstraps, and there's also climbing on the back of others. I think those are the two ways you get up in this country, and a lot of places, honestly.
It's always about like, I also think there is a caveat of like, well, if like the American Dream is about like just kind of pulling yourselves by the bootstraps and having this idea of like just hard work will pay off and like you'll get to the extreme wealth, I also think like you also have to be like smart and take opportunities. You can't like I do think like if you work hard at like a company and you don't get like the promotion that like allows you to like excel, and you're not moving anywhere with your job, take a different opportunity or like try
Take a
to
different route.
like
It's easier said than done. It definitely is easier said than done. I think like we said, we just graduated from college. You're starting your career. You're at a good company. I would say you got off to a good start with that. But I've known you for a couple of years, and I know that's not always been the case. You went through a lot of really bad companies and a lot of really bad experiences, as well as some decent ones. But it was not always the case. You had to work to get at that. And fortunately, you also have like a good major, like construction management, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's one that's in decent demand. But that's not, the economy doesn't always work like that for everyone.
Yeah, it's it is different for every person and like every like case as well. So.
Great. So just to end this off, if you had the opportunity to go back to your freshman self, what would you tell yourself about money?
Be smart with like the opportunities you take. Look into full detail about like say if you like sign a contract, because I've had some interesting companies that they've made me sign some contracts with.
You got burned bad.
Yeah, and know like the responsibilities of like certain jobs that you take, and think about like the mental energy that you do give to like different like companies as well. But always be optimistic and always think of like ways to present yourself in like a better light.
Yeah, definitely enjoy the younger years and prepare for the older ones. I think that would be the advice I would give myself. But yeah, this has been another episode of Brookside Chats with your host,
Brooklyn,
and your co-host, Taco. Bye-bye.
signing off.